Man, welcome back to the Cruise Dynasty podcast. Back at it again, doing what we do, talking about the fake stuff. Tonight's going to be a good one. This episode right here, we're going to do our booms and our busts, pretty much our favorite players and guys we're going to stay away from. Craft Man, what's going on, man?
This is one of my favorite episodes because I can just talk mad shit on players that I don't want, and sometimes it has nothing to do with the players in general. It's just where they're going and guys that I'm not taking, and I'm just super excited about this episode. I've been thinking about it. I've been writing down my breakouts and my value picks, and the only thing I'm not excited about is giving away all my secrets, because just listening to this one episode, I'm pretty much giving every listener that's listening, including the guys that I play fantasy with, guys that I'm taking pretty much in every draft, or guys that I'm avoiding in every draft. So If they keep avoiding them, that makes a problem for me, because I might be looking at them at lower ADP and be like, man, is this going to be a steal now that everybody's avoiding them?
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see. Hopefully they just, sometimes don't follow my instruction and take these players that I don't want anyway.
All right, so basically we're just going to go through and just name a bunch of players gonna boom, gonna bust. This is redraft. I'm looking at redraft ADP, half PPR. Most of mine are going to be like the ones I like at ADP, maybe a hot take or two real quick. Something that I don't like in ADP. I'm gonna do one real high in the first round. I'm gonna give you one a piece in there, and I'm gonna even go a little bit deeper. Anything else? Thanks for listening to the show. Yeah, if there's any type of episodes that y'all want us to put out there, let us know. We'll throw it out there. Me and Craftman, we do it all pretty much. All right, Craftman, go ahead, man. Give me something. Boom. Give me a boom or give me a bust.
All right, so one of my boom players this year is, he plays for Seattle, wide receiver Jackson Smith and Jigba. This guy is about to go off. You got a new offensive coordinator. Pete Carroll is out of the building. We ain't got his old ass no more. They asked him if he wanted to coach anymore. He said, nah, I ain't going to do it. And you got Ryan Grubb coming in from Washington. Played with Roma he had Roma Dunze, Jalen Polk, and JSN just got used in the wrong way last year. There's a lot of statistics that say rookies that put up a certain amount of stats aren't going to break out and all this jibber jabber stuff. But me and you, Matt, and I know we believed in JSN last year. I still think he's a great receiver. He's a receiver that can win over the middle of the field. Intermediate routes is where he succeeds the most, and he just didn't get used that way. When you go to draft JSN, you have to believe, and what I believe is that Tyler Lockett is done. I think that last year was his last year of being relevant, and I've always liked Tyler Lockett, but I just think that this is the time where the new offensive coordinator comes in, the new coach comes in, where they're going to feature JSN in this offense. Geno Smith had a great year the year before last, which I just think it was a bad situation. It just didn't work out. And he's going as a wide receiver 45 this season. I think he's going to destroy that ADP. This could be a guy. There's only a few guys that I could see, taking a massive tier up from where they are now based on opportunity. I mean, I like Jameson Williams and guys like that. But he's got Amon-Ra in front of him. He's got Sam Laporta. He's been in the league a couple more years than JSN and hasn't really done anything. But I love the talent. He was the number one wide receiver not last year, but the year before. And I just like everything about him. I said in the previous episode, I think he's one of the biggest buys in Dynasty right now that you could go after. And this is a one of the guys like George Pickens who could jump up into top 10 dynasty wide receivers at the end of this year at the absolute best. But I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes the Tyler Lockett in this offense where you're looking at a very high end wide receiver too this year getting drafted as wide receiver 45.
Yeah.
And it's almost damn near obvious because me and you both said last year that last year wasn't the year for JSN. It just wasn't about to happen. This year is going to be the year that he breaks out. I think he's an incredible talent. He's not compared to this year's receivers like Rome Odunze, Marvin Harrison, but I think if he was in this class, he'd probably be right after them top three guys as far as talent goes. And the opportunity is just it's massive in this offense.
Yep, I agree with that. Boom. I could see myself reaching on JSN and ADP. Yeah, I agree. We both said it wasn't going to be his year last year, but man, the perfect buy low in Dynasty. The perfect. You said it best on one of those episodes, Craftman. You said he was probably the best buy low in Dynasty right now. So I agree. If that's the case, then he's probably going to be good this year. So yeah, I'm with you. All right, I got a boom, and I'll stay young. I touched on it in the tight end episode. Dalton Kincaid. You know, I got him. I ranked him 2.
That was a good one.
I think he's going to be up there. It's like I said in the last episode. I feel like Buffalo's going to depend on Dalton Kincaid. They're going to depend on him for touchdowns. They're going to depend on him for PPR points, everything. He's going to get peppered. He's going to be the man. You know, this is their version of Patty and Travis Kelce. James Cook's their Pacheco. That's how it's going to be. Huge on Dalton Kincaid.
I like it a lot. The only problem is I think a lot of people are going to think he's going to break out like something serious. And he probably will. James Cook. I mean, Curtis Samuel's hurt right now. Also, to go along with it, Curtis Samuel's always kind of hurt. And Curtis Samuel's a good player, but where Curtis Samuel succeeds is around the line of scrimmage, short to intermediate routes, and that's where Dalton Kincaid and I think James Cook's going to eat too, which I'm pretty high on James Cook too.
Dalton Kincaid is going as the tight end 5 in Sleeper. And that's pretty much consistent with best ball. I'm pretty sure he was 5 in best ball most of the time too. So
number 1 tight end taken in the 2023 draft.
Yep. All right, Craftman, give me something else.
All right, another breakout I had this year, and this guy is going as a RB 39. Plays for a really good offense. It's running back Chase Brown for the Cincinnati Bengals. All he has to do is beat out Zach Moss, and that's pretty much it. And I'm pretty high on Zach Moss as far as this year goes. Chase Brown has some issues protecting the passer, and he's more of an athlete than he is a pure runner. But we've seen these guys like DeAndre Swift who succeed in the league not being the best running back between the tackles. But the offense is great. The depth chart is great. He doesn't have to do much to beat out Zach Moss. An injury could occur, and you're looking at a league winner. And that's where he's going. This just reminds me so much of the Dolphins last year, where you were looking at Raheem Mostert this late. And I think this is just the most similar situation you have to that, where it's going to be a top 10 offense. Joe Mixon has been one of the best running backs in all of fantasy football for the past 4 years. As far as fantasy finishes go, not talent. There's a lot of running back carries to go down in Cincinnati. They're going to be a high-powered offense, and if Chase Brown ends up being the guy that we watched tape on him a couple years ago, and we really liked him, and I still do. I think he's very explosive, and I think he's going to have a great season, a breakout.
All right, shoot, I'll stick to the same thing, same position. I got a boom for you. By the way, I agree with you on all that because I'm high on Zach Moss too, and I would definitely buy Chase Brown if I could. All right, I only got one running back on my list. and Kenneth Walker. I've been hitting on Kenneth Walker, and it started in best ball craft, man. It started out there.
I love it, man. I love that pick. I thought about
Man,
putting him in there as like one of my value picks.
man. I mean, all signs are pointing to him being just a workhorse back. I think the offense is going to be faster this year. You know, going to be a little more spread out this year. So Kenneth Walker, I mean, here's guys. He's going behind Joe Mixon, James Cook, Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, those are kind of guys that I got ranked up there higher. But I mean, Josh Jacobs. I
Joe
take Kenneth Walker.
Mixon. I'd take Kenneth Walker over Joe Mixon
I
for
take
sure.
Kenneth Walker over Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with you there. I think I have Jacobs higher, but I could definitely see a higher ceiling for Kenneth Walker.
Man, heck, I pushed something and then it had it ranked side by side. I was like, oh, Kenneth Walker just jumped. All of a sudden, nah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so that's my boom right there. Kenneth Walker, easy. I started out getting him in the 6. I mean, he's going as the RB16 ahead of guys like Kamara, Aaron Jones, James Conner. I mean, perfect. I'll take that as my RB2 any day. Heck, if I was going 0 RB and I had him as my RB1, that's perfect. That's sitting right there in the sweet spot right there.
There's been a couple mock drafts I've done where I'm drafting at the 2 spot and I go like Tyreek. So I end up like Tyreek, Mike Evans, Jalen Waddle, and then Kenneth Walker is my RB1. Which I actually feel pretty damn comfortable with Kenneth Walker. And the coaches have been raving about him. I hadn't heard, it's been crickets about Zach Charbonnet so far. And I just think that Zach Charbonnet and Blake Corum have a lot in common where you got a guy who is an extreme talent in Kenneth Walker. And I think he's just as talented as any of the running backs in the league, really, outside of McCaffrey, of course. You know, Jahmyr Gibbs, super talented. Guys like this, Brees Hall, Bijan. I think he's up there with the Jonathan Taylor and Saquon tier.
Yeah.
As far as RB goes. And the coach is talking about using him in the 3 down. He's been talking about his pass catching, 3 down work.
Hey.
Kenneth Walker might just go off.
Yep. I kind of view Charbonnet as just a handcuff at this point. I don't really see too much of him digging. I mean, he'll get on the field, but not as much as people are hoping, I think.
Yeah.
Man, crap, man. Let me introduce the first person about to bust this year. It's my only
Perfect
running.
timing.
It's my only running back that I got on my list, and I don't think you're gonna be surprised at all. My first about to bust, Aaron Jones.
I got him too. You took one of my picks.
RB18 on Sleeper. Dude, I could go on the list. He's going ahead of James Conner, David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Ramondre, Najee, Zamir, Raheem Mostert, Tony Pollard. I mean, I see Nick Chubb right here. Is that my cutoff? I mean, there's a
That's
lot
a
of
bust in general. I'll go ahead and tell anybody this while we're on it, and you go ahead and talk about Aaron Jones. But if you're drafting Nick Chubb where he's going in ADP, you got a problem. You need to go see a therapist. Something's going on. I love Nick Chubb. I think he's great, but I mean, come on. Like, if you can list 10 things that have to go right for him to succeed, then it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
So you can throw Nick Chubb on there with Aaron Jones.
Yeah, look, Aaron Jones. I mean, I think this is like pretty much if he is relevant this year in fantasy football, this is the last year of it. This is going to be short lived in Minnesota. This is the end of his career.
I like Aaron Jones too, but Minnesota doesn't. They've never, ever since Kevin O'Connell's been there, their offense does not run through their running backs. You got Sam Darnold there. I mean, how many scoring opportunities are you really looking at? Unless they can just turn Sam Darnold's career around, and he just
get him off my board. Get him off my motherfucking board, Kraft, man. I don't even want him.
I'm not gonna
slide him into a trade conversation one side, Kraft, man. Aaron Jones, as if I want that bum. You couldn't give him to me for free.
The only, the only good thing I can say about Aaron Jones is the Packers signed Josh Jacobs. They're paying him like 10 to 12 million a year. Aaron Jones signed for 1 year, 8 million. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind just having Aaron Jones another year for a couple $1,000,000 cheaper. I still think he's got the talent, but this offense just doesn't click with Aaron Jones, and there's just not going to be enough opportunity for him. You got Justin Jefferson out there commanding targets, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson's going to come back. What do you really expect from Aaron Jones? And there's been a lot of talk of Ty Chandler mixing in with him too, so you're probably not going to get a full-time workhorse running back anyway.
Right. What you got for me, Kraft man?
You don't even want to know. You don't even want to know. My first bust of the season, where he's going is like the RB9. Devon Achane.
Oh man.
Everybody talks about the massive upside he has, and he did.
Yep.
He had great upside when he first came in week 3 last year. He scored 54 points on only 41% of the snaps, 200 rushing yards, 4 total touchdowns in a single game. That shit's crazy. And he does have tremendous upside. And I see a lot of similarities between Miami's backfield and the Detroit Lions backfield with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. But what I'll have to say about Devon Achane is when he went off, defenses didn't know who the fuck Devon Achane was. He had 3 games in a row of 54 points, 25 points, and 22 points. Then he got injured he was out for 6 weeks. One of them weeks was a bye week, so he was out for 5 weeks. When he came back last season, nothing changed. They didn't give him more snaps. He came back. He played 61% of snaps. He scored 23 points. Played 45% of snaps, 39% of snaps. Scored 9 points, 7 points, and then 3 points. 3 weeks straight of not getting over 10 points. And running backs can kind of go through this, but not the guys who get as much opportunity as Breece Hall or Bijan Robinson or Travis Etienne who's going around him. I would take Travis Etienne 10 times out of 10 over Devon Achane this season. And you talk about the massive upside. How much upside can you possibly have getting 45% of the snaps? They got Jalen Wright, who they just brought in. Mike McDaniels had an interview talking about Devon Achane, and he praised him a lot, but he also had an interview talking about Jalen Wright, and he said that, I don't have his exact quote, but this is going to be a 3-headed backfield.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible to me with Devon Achane going in the second round. And if you want to make the pick, you can go ahead and do it. And if you want to match him up with like a Christian McCaffrey, you take him at number 1, you take Devon Achane 2. And best ball, I can see it because he can have some big games. But this is kind of like the receiver you don't know when to put in on a given week because you know that his boom potential is pretty high on a given week, but he can absolutely score you 4 points. If the guy's getting 11 carries a week and he's not averaging 7 yards a carry, which I think is unsustainable, what he did last year, because defenses are going to know when Devon Achane's on the field now, unlike when they did in his first 3 weeks last year when he scored 50-something points. I just don't think that that's a pick worth taking. I think Achane will be fine. I'm not saying that he's going to be like absolutely terrible, but to take him there in the second round for a player who we don't know is going to get 50% of the snaps, and I think everybody thinks that he's going to overtake Raheem Mostert. I really don't think that. I think Raheem Mostert's going to have the same role as he had last year. So Devon Achane, my number 1 bust pick.
Yep, I can't disagree. I have taken him, just like you said. I paired him up with Christian McCaffrey 2 or 3 times in best ball. I did take him as the number 1 guy, maybe my last draft. Something like that a couple drafts ago. But yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with anything you're saying.
If you were to go back to last season, if we were to talk about fresh off Miami losing their playoff game. We're talking Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane in say February or March. If you were to ask me where do you think Achane and Raheem Mostert are going to go compared to each other, I would probably say, Achane might go 2 to 3 rounds ahead of Raheem Mostert.
Yeah.
He's going like 6 or 7 rounds ahead of Raheem Mostert.
Yeah.
And that's just too far of a gap.
Yep. I can't disagree. I actually agree with you. I like it. Hey, I've been saying in Dynasty, he's a good sell high, Devon Achane. Man,
Well,
so
what
what
you
should I
got
hit?
for me, Matt?
Yeah, I'm about to say, what should I hit you with? I think I'm gonna switch it up just a little bit. Maybe get me some veterans, cause you won't you for sure won't be surprised by this one. My
Is it a running back?
first no wide receiver. My first bust is gonna be Devontae Adams.
Wow.
And I know that he what you call it got Gardner Minshew, and I think that's even better. Even better. He's got him some Gardner Minshew for a whole year. I guess. I mean, he'll probably do it for half a year. They're gonna be losing a lot of games, and then they're gonna throw Aiden O'Connell in there. That's how it's gonna happen. That's how this year's gonna work. Unless they just somehow start winning games. On sleeper, Devontae Adams is going as the wide receiver 11. You are out your mind.
Right
No.
where he belongs.
Oh my goodness. Ahead of Olave, Ayuk, Debo, Mike Evans, Nico, Waddle. Come on, man. Cooper Cup, DK. Come on,
You're
man.
bringing Dynasty into the
No,
situation.
I'm not.
Dad.
I am not. I am not. A whole year. He's gonna have Gardner Minshew and then Aiden O'Connell. Bottom 10 offense.
What's the difference from last year? Bottom
Man,
10
dude.
offense, Aiden O'Connell, wide receiver 10
He
last
was so
season, wide
inconsistent, and he
receiver
had
11.
those big games that I always like to pull out. He had like a 40-point game at the end of the year. Saved him. He goose egged you a couple times.
Yeah, but they got a new head coach who
Ah,
understands that Devontae Adams is the best player on the field. If you want to make your argument, you got to make your argument with Brock Bowers coming in, Jacoby Myers.
third.
See, what
Why
Jacoby
not?
Myers want to steal everything from him?
He's gonna get some. They gonna do a little something. They're gonna be terrible. They're gonna be the worst team in that division.
Yeah, they were last year.
And Devontae Adams, why would you take something that is so inconsistent? You got to get him as your wide receiver. Going as the wide receiver 11. You definitely don't want him as your wide receiver 1.
Devon Achane or Devontae Adams.
Achane. It's not even debatable.
They're going in about the same exact spot.
Oh man, well that's my bust. The veteran, the first one. Get him off my board. Get him off my board. I don't care if he's wide receiver 25. I want
Do you
DK
think he's
over him.
just? Do you think it's a mixture of the bad quarterback play plus? You think he's just at his age cliff right now, where it's going to be like a Julio fall off or something like that?
Towards the age cliff, he's getting older, and this is going to be a terrible offense. This offense is going to be no good.
It'll be all right. Devontae Adams will still be fine.
Uh,
Devontae Adams will still be
oh
fine.
man, this might be the number 1 draft pick right here.
Ah,
This team.
well, I got another bust for your ass.
Yep, go
And
ahead.
this one's obvious, so I'm probably just going to steal one right off your list. It's another running back. I've got 3 running backs and 2 receivers on the list, and my second running back, well, Aaron Jones is one too. You took that one from me, but DeAndre Swift of the Chicago Bears,
Yeah.
he's just going way, way, way too high for me. There's a lot of players that I would take over him. I mentioned Chase Brown. I mentioned Zach Moss. I would definitely take Zach Moss over him. I'd take Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears over DeAndre Swift. He is on his third team in 3 years. He played behind the best offensive line in the NFL last year, and he did have a good first half, but he still wasn't good down the stretch. And there's there's something with DeAndre Swift where coaches don't want him on the field as much as he should be. I think he is talented, but you got a rookie quarterback in there that needs trust in the backfield, a solid pass blocker. I don't think DeAndre Swift's going to get the goal line carries. I've mentioned in the preseason, which I don't take a lot away from preseason, but Khalil Herbert got a lot of work with the first team offense. I think this team is going to deploy Khalil Herbert, DeAndre Swift, and even some Roschon Johnson in there every now and again. Roschon Johnson can play on third downs. He played on third downs last season as a rookie, and they trust him to be a good pass blocker for their number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams. Who do you think they want in there protecting their future investment? DeAndre Swift or a guy that can stop an edge rusher off the outside and block for Caleb Williams so that he doesn't get absolutely murdered? DeAndre Swift's just not a good running back. He's a good athlete, but he's not a good running back, and I never thought he was since he's been in the NFL. So that's my bust pick. DeAndre Swift's going to be a wasted ass pick for your team, and you're going to regret taking his ass. And I hate that we picked him in FFPC. I wish we could trade him.
I know, man. I know. Listen, man. I look at that and I just say, man, come on, man. What were we thinking? I know. I just don't want him on the team. I mean,
he's the guy you put out in right field in third grade, bro. Like he's like the guy on our FFPC team. He's like, man, no balls get hit out here. Let's put this guy in right field.
Yep, I'm with you though. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I don't feel good about DeAndre Swift at all. All right, crap, man. I got a bus for you, and I'm gonna put 2 together, and it's gonna be Stephon Diggs and C.J. Stroud. The Texans.
Really, Stephon Diggs. Now you changed your mindset.
Changed my mind. I have sat back and thought about this situation time and time again. Took my time, and I was slowly moving forward. Stephon Diggs is going as the wide receiver 17. Me personally, I'm starting to buy into the fact that I think this is going to be, Nico and Tank Dell. They're still good, probably going to be the 2 best receivers this year, I think. Stephon's just there, in my opinion now. I was saying that this guy he might go in there and compete for the number 1 job. He acts like he's going to be the number 1 guy. I'm buying in that teams are going to have trouble covering Tank Dell. This is going to be a Tank Dell Nico team. I think in a vacuum, I would rather have Nico. Well, but I mean, Nico's going at like wide receiver 16. He's going like 1 spot ahead of Stephon. So basically, you got to believe in Stephon or Nico if you want a Texans wide receiver right there. I mean, it's Nico pretty easily for me, even this year. And I say Nico's ceiling is capped this year. I've been saying that. I'm not a believer in Stephon at all. He's going ahead of Waddle, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, DK, Neighbors, Pittman, Smith. And I like those guys way better than Stephon. So that's a dynamic duo bust, a double bust.
Dynamic duo bust.
I forgot. Go ahead. I ain't even saying anything about Stroud yet.
Oh yeah. Well, you know that I like Tank Dell and I have him ranked higher in Dynasty than Nico, but don't get that confused with redraft this year. I like Nico a lot for Dynasty, and we've had a lot of Jalen Waddle talk on here, but every single mock draft that I'm in, I look at Jalen Waddle and I look at Nico Collins, and I really don't see anything different. I know you got 2 receivers over at Houston, but just tell me now, Matt, who throws for more yards, C.J. Stroud or Tua?
Tua.
Is it by a lot or is it just?
I'm just kidding. I don't know. If I had to put my money on it, I'd say Stroud. But Tua, didn't he lead the league last year in yards?
Yeah, he led the league in passing yards last year. But you got Tyreek over there who's going to, if he stays healthy all year, you're talking about a 1,700-yard receiver, 1,500-yard receiver. And over there in Houston, you got Tank Dell and Diggs. They're all going to steal from one another. I would imagine that you're not going to have 3 1,000-yard receivers on the same team. So I would think that Tank Dell and Diggs probably, combined for what Tyreek Hill can do by himself.
Right.
And Nico and Jalen Waddle, they're not similar body types, but they're similar players as far as like yards per reception goes, yards per touch, everything like this. So, taught me why. I mean, this is a little bit off topic, but taught me into Jalen Waddle over Nico, knowing that I know Jalen Waddle just stays in and out of that blue 10 all the time. What's the difference between these two guys? Where would you draft him at in redraft?
Look, well, heck, redraft. Let me look. What redraft wise? I do feel like ceiling wise this year, Waddle has
I
more
mean, he's already
upside.
done it. He's had a wide receiver 8 season. Nico was like wide receiver 15 last season. He missed a couple games.
And so in redraft, Nico's going. See, I would take Waddle ahead of Nico this year, but redraft, Nico's going ahead of Waddle right now. Nico's at 16, Waddle's at 18, half PPR. Listen,
Yeah.
man, I mean, me and you took Nico in that startup. I like them both. I really do got them viewed similar. Um, even in the dynasty ranking wise, I I just think for this year, I think Waddle's got to be a little higher. Just this year. But dynasty wise, they're right there. I mean, I would still probably rather have Waddle over Nico, but I mean, heck, I would rather have Nico over Tank. So it's like Nico's definitely up there for me.
Yeah. And in the preseason, from what we've seen as far as the snap counts go, Nico's been the solid outside receiver. He's been out pretty much there on every play. In the preseason, he's played 87% of snaps. Last year, he was in the 60s. So he's actually getting more snaps this season. But when they go to 2 wide receiver sets, Nico's on the outside and Stephon Diggs is still in the game. Tank Dell is out. When they go into 3 wide receiver sets, which I do think they're probably going to run mostly 11 personnel with 3 receivers on the field when you got a guy like Tank Dell.
Right.
You got these receivers. But Tank Dell's been the one that came off the field. But I still believe that Tank Dell is going to outperform Stephon Diggs. And it's not a Stephon Diggs the player that he has been. It's just Stephon Diggs the player that I think he's going to be, which I think Houston is going to utilize him more as a slot guy and a first down. They're going to look for him on third downs to move the chains and stuff like this. But as far as big plays go, I'm with you with Stephon Diggs, where I wanted to put him as my bust pick, but I thought it was too obvious because I've pretty much dogged Stephon Diggs the whole time. I think I got him ranked as like my wide receiver 22 or something like that. He's not even, or 20. No, I think it's like 27.
Yeah. He's down there for me. Listen, the reason why I put CJ Stroud mixed in with that, he's on sleeper. He's going as quarterback 5. Best ball, I seen him go as a best ball, like quarterback 4. We did that FFPC startup draft. He went 101. I just think in general his value is high, and it's going to decline this year. It's all going to be settled down. Like he's going. Like I think Joe Burrow's going to have a better year this year.
You're not saying CJ Stroud's not going to be good for fantasy. You're just saying where he's going is not worth it.
Going too high. Because I don't think he returns on ADP this year. He's going as a quarterback 5. I think you're going to be looking more of a regression this year. I've been saying it from the jump. He went off last year. He's great. He's going to have more great years. But I'm just buying into a little slump, little Stephon Diggs up in the mix. They're going to hit a little snag at times. I buy into it this year. It's going to be less yards. They're going to struggle some. It's real football. You know what I'm saying? They're still real football out there. They're going to struggle some. It ain't going to be just them going off all the time. Not this year. I don't believe it. So CJ Stroud, he just doesn't return on ADP. I mean, I think Burrow, I would rather buy into Burrow this year. I got critical things to say of Burrow. I say he could bounce back. I'd be willing to bet on his bounce back this year than a CJ Stroud go off year 2 back to back.
No, I can definitely see that. My main problem with CJ Stroud is just where he's going, and the hype has gotten a little out of whack. I mean, you really cannot ask for more than what CJ Stroud did in his rookie year.
Yep.
And when a quarterback does that their rookie year, is the hype train just gets so so overblown. But I mean, defenses are going. They have a whole year of film to look at, and the sophomore slump is a real thing. It happens a lot with players, and
Yep.
I don't think he's going to slump. But I do agree that it's not a player that I'm drafted in any league because of his ADP.
Throw something at us, Craft Man.
Chris isn't here, but Xavier Worthy is my next bust pick.
Oh man.
He's not even going that high. He's going as a wide receiver 37, which I don't think is necessarily the worst pick in the world. But I think the hype on Xavier Worthy, and I just want to clarify this, that I like Xavier Worthy. When we did our rookie stuff, I thought he was a great receiver. I thought he could be used in not just as a deep threat. And when he ran that 4.2 whatever at the 40, it was like, man, this guy's incredible. He's fast. He can run all the different routes. But as far as redraft goes this year, I think that defenses already know that Patrick Mahomes can light their asses up at any point in time. And Xavier Worthy is going to be asked to do something that is not good for fantasy, which is make the underneath routes open for Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce. I think
Yep.
Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce are going to receive most of the targets. And I think Xavier Worthy's he's going to have some games, but it's going to be to a point where you don't know where to play his ass. It's going to be like the Gabe Davis experience in his first year, where it's like, I want to put him in this week. Oh shit, I picked the wrong week. And as far as like a draft pick goes, I don't want a player like that who, when I don't know where to play him, and like I said, I like it. I like the talent. I like Xavier Worthy. I think he's a great NFL player. But as far as this season goes, I really just got to see it. And they asked Scantlin to do the exact same thing last year. I think Worthy's a lot better than he is. But you got to have that receiver like the Alec Pierce for the Colts who just opens up everything for everybody else. And unfortunately, I think that's going to be Xavier Worthy who opens up everything for everybody else because defense is going to have to respect his speed. And he's just not going to perform for fantasy. I hate to say it.
Yeah. I don't know about that one. I don't know. We'll have to see how that one plays out. You know what I'm saying, Craft Man? I've been kind of seeing what Xavier Worthy's doing. Let's just see what.
Yeah, the touchdown he caught in the preseason game, he was offsides as shit, and they didn't call it, and the defense stopped. It was a broken play that he just scored down the sideline, scored a touchdown, but the defense wasn't even playing. It was a free play.
All right, Craft Man. I'm gonna give you probably my hottest take of the night. My boom. Everybody knows.
You boom.
My biggest boom. This is definitely just the like this was the biggest reach. I mean, this one could be just totally wrong. You know what I'm saying? But everybody knows that I love Romeo Dubs, baby.
I love it. I love it. Because I was about to put
Hey,
him in there, and I was like, Matt already got him. So he's going to speak about him tonight.
hey, everybody knows how I feel about him. Everybody knows really. Well, here's the truth. What I've been saying about their wide receiving room. Romeo Dubs, he won't have the biggest games. Jaden Reed's gonna have some big games. I think he'll have some games that are not so big. I think Jaden Reed's got higher upside on a week to week basis. Romeo Dubs is gonna be the most consistent player week in and week out. He's gonna finish as a top 24 player this year. He's going as the wide receiver 51 right now. I
Man,
think he's gonna establish. Everybody talks about the Green Bay Packers. Nobody talks about Romeo Dubs. Nobody. And if you ask them right now, you know how everybody talks about that little moment where CJ Stroud's naming he's got Tyreek and he's got yada yada, and then he put Tank Dell with that.
oh, yeah, where he was like naming his best receivers that he would want on the team, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
Jordan Love's got a little thing like that, where he said Romeo Dubs was in his. I mean, Romeo Dubs, he's viewed as the number one guy. I feel like. I mean, I know
In the
I do feel like,
receiver room.
yeah, and I feel like talent wise, Jaden Reed probably is better, and I think Jordan Love's going to be supporting two wide receivers year in and year out for years to come. It's going to be these two guys. I don't think Christian Watson's really that trustworthy, and I think Dontavian Wicks is good. Uh, but it's just kind of
You
crowded.
could put him in here as a breakout if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Dontavian Wicks.
But everybody says Wiggs, everybody, and I get it. I mean, it's just that one's super obvious. So Romeo Dubs, I've got him as like my wide receivers, like 5 and wide receiver 6 is on teams. Like this dude's cheap, man. And this is a guy that I for real believe in an offense that's ascending. I mean, in the playoffs against Dallas, 24 points. I mean, San Francisco, he had 10, but I mean, he's got some decent games.
Man. Like
6 targets, 6 targets. And I think Luke Musgrave was getting in the mix at some.
What did Jaden Reed have in them games? 0.
So I'm all in on Romeo Dobbs. And hey, and I'm not out on Jaden Reed neither. I like Jaden Reed too, especially if you can get him at a good price.
I like all of them because they're all at a good price, and that's not because I'm a Packers fan, but if you can take anything from what Matt said is I am the diehard Packers fan, and I have pretty much said 100% that Romeo Dobbs is going to play the most snaps on this offense. He's the most trustworthy receiver, like you said. He might not be the most explosive guy, but if you're talking about somebody, I think he's the main red zone target this season as far as the receivers go. And he kind of had a similar season to like a Cortland Sutton last year, where it was like very touchdown dependent. But when it became playoff time, Romeo Dobbs was the main guy that Jordan Love trusted. And this was Jordan Love's first year as a starter. So you're talking about, taking a step up in his second year, Romeo Dobbs becoming the main guy. And I don't really understand the reasoning behind people saying Romeo Dobbs isn't that great of an athlete either. Like he's a pretty damn good wide receiver in his own right compared to some of the other guys they got.
All right, Crab Mate, give me something else.
Well, I hate to bring us down again, but I wasn't done with my bust yet.
Yeah, I still got one more bust.
Rome Odunze.
Oh, man.
Being a bust. I'm sorry. The ADP is way out of whack. I've talked about this so many times on this podcast where you got 3 receivers going in the top 36 with a rookie quarterback. You got Keenan there, who is a target monster. You got DJ Moore, who is obviously, in my opinion, the number one on this offense. Unless an injury occurs, Rome Odunze just has no role with this team. Oh. If I had to project his stat lines for this year, that's just this year. We're talking about redraft. We're not talking about dynasty. I could see Rome Odunze putting up about 6 receptions for 600 yards and maybe 5 touchdowns if you're lucky. This is not going to be an 1,000-yard receiver. This is not going to be some guy that you're just putting in your lineup every single week. I think he is going to be a bust. If you take him where he's going, around guys like Jaden Reed, you talk about Rome Odunze Romeo Dobbs going that late. I see a similar role between Romeo Dobbs and Rome Odunze. The talent's not close. I like Rome Odunze a lot. I think he's super talented. But,
man.
But rookie quarterback supporting 3 receivers, get the hell out of here with that shit. It's not going to happen. Unless Caleb Williams is Patrick Mahomes. That's the only way it's going to happen. And look at the history of the NFL. Is Caleb Williams really going to be Patrick Mahomes his first season? I doubt it. With the Bears, right. Come on now.
Nope, Crab Man, I'm with you. I agree. He's going as a wide receiver 33 right now in average. And
who is he going around?
Terry McLaurin, Christian Herker going ahead of him, and then he's got Jaden Reed's right behind him. Worthy, Godwin, Ridley, Rashee Rice. Addison,
I take all them guys, every single one that you named.
McHonky.
Yep, for sure.
I know you'll take McHonky. So, all right then. Yep, I know. I'm with you. Not high on Rome Odunze for year 1 either. I couldn't agree with you more. Now, I do. I got him in one league. I do think an outside possibility. He could break out in year 1. Could. I leave the door open.
It'd have to take somebody going down, and I'll put that little asterisk on it. Like if he's the number two, if he was a number two in this offense, just say Keenan Allen didn't even go there, and it was DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and just some other guy. Equanimous St. Brown is their number three. I think Rome Odunze should be going around wide receiver 30. And he's going right there now as the number three option on this team. Cole Kmet's gonna get some work. I mean, it's absurd to me to think that Caleb Williams is going to support three guys in the top 36.
All right, then. Crap, how many names you got left?
Well, those are my busts. Those are definitely my busts. Breakouts, I've said my breakout with JSN and Chase Brown. So I think we move on with the guys that, I mean, we're drafting everywhere. We're not letting them pass. These are the guys that we want. These are the players that I'm drafting in 100% of my redraft leagues and not letting anybody else get them.
Yeah. Well, shoot, I feel like my app be just messing on up. I can't hardly see. Oh, heck, you know what? I'll be pushing them little buttons, and I'll be messing up the ADP. All right, look, Craft Man, I got one that I'm gonna go ahead and throw out there, and this one's way too obvious. Kyler Murray, I had to put his name on there. I think he's gonna go off. I ranked him forward quarterback in redraft. I've ranked him really high in Dynasty. I would take him over all these guys. He's going as the quarterback 8 right now. I'd take him over Burrow, Richardson, Stroud, Lamar. That's the end of the road right there. I'd take him over all them guys in a vacuum, straight up. I might hop in that average Joe's draft and just reach on him real high and really just make a statement. Just pluck him ahead of everybody.
Take him where you want, man. Just go ahead and get your guy. And that's what we talk about all the time. Just go ahead and get your guy. I mean, it doesn't matter who you draft in average Joe's. I mean, you're not really winning. So just do what you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you. Hey, listen, just too easy. Quarterback 8, you know how I feel about him. I've been saying buy low. He's about to go off this year. Got Marv in the building. Trey McBride got him some weapons. We can move on. We don't even have to stay on Kyler.
All right, man. This one's going to surprise the shit out of you because I've talked some mad shit on this guy. But I guess the fantasy community has picked up on what he's laid down the last couple of years. And I think it's unfair. Truthfully, I don't think this guy's a wide receiver 1. Me and Chris, and you have argued about it, that I don't think he's an alpha. But T. Higgins, I'm not leaving any of my drafts without drafting T. Higgins.
God.
You talking about he's going as a wide receiver 27 right now? Yeah. That's way too low. That is T. Higgins' floor. We're high on Joe Burrow. I'm high on Jamar Chase. They got rid of Tyler Boyd, who, for some reason, he is always involved in the offense. Tyler Boyd is gone. You got Jermaine Burton there, who hopefully wins the wide receiver 3 spot, or what's the other guy's name? You know the other receiver for Cincinnati.
I just can't say his name.
Josephus. Something like that.
It ain't no threat to T. Higgins. We already know, big dog.
It's no threat to T. Higgins, and he's going in a tier of his own right now, whereas, you got your big guys. You got your guys at the top, and then we got that tier that we like to talk about a lot, where it's Devontae Smith, and it's, Michael Pittman, it's Nico Collins, all this stuff. And T. Higgins is just a forgotten guy. He's going behind Tank Dell. I'm definitely taking him over Tank Dell as much as I like him. George Pickens, taking him over George Pickens. I could see George Pickens being great, but, they got Russell Wilson and Justin Fields back there, and they can't even name a starter right now because it's, you know what they say, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any?
Yep.
That's what it's looking like to me with George Pickens. I was high on him earlier, but, that's why you listen to these episodes before the season, because sometimes our opinions change. But T. Higgins going as a wide receiver 29 right now in Sleeper. He's never finished that low, except for last year, where he played 12 games. finished as a wide receiver 28, 24, and the wide receiver 18. The main thing with T. Higgins just got to stay healthy. And I'm just hoping that the Bengals can stay healthy all season long. And this was with Tyler Boyd there, who wasn't no slouch. So it's going to be Jamar Chase. Their running backs are guys that we're hoping on that we think can break out. Their defense is not good. They're the worst defense in the division. You got Joe Burrow, who we think is going to have a massive bounce back year. Jamar Chase, I'm really high on. And then you got T. Higgins drafted way after, like Devontae Smith and guys like this, where I think they're very similar players. I mean, if you were to ask me who's going to have more passing yards this year, Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts? It's Joe Burrow, obviously.
Yeah.
He's going to have more passing yards this year. So you got an alpha in A.J. Brown with Philly. You got an alpha in Cincinnati with Jamar Chase. I think T. Higgins should be drafted up there with them guys. I would take him over Michael Pittman. I would take him over Malik Neighbors. I would take him over Devontae Smith.
Yep.
I would take him over DJ Moore. I think he should be ranked higher, a lot higher than he is. And that's a guy that I don't want to leave the draft without.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just glad you finally came around, Kraft Man. I'm glad you came to your senses.
Don't think he's an alpha, though.
Well, I'm just surprised. I was surprised. Once you started talking, I was like, oh, man, he's about to say T. Higgins, ain't he? I knew it. Look.
You never
Kraft,
expected that shit, though. I know you didn't. Never.
Did
Never
not.
would have guessed.
Make sure C. Swizzy hears. Make sure he hears that part of the episode.
I pissed him off with Xavier Worthy, and then I cheer him back up with T. Higgins.
Yep. All right, look, Kraft Man, I'm pretty much gonna end my night with this next, because I got one boom and one bust, but they kind of go together. Because this is gonna be the round one. This is what I'm doing in round one, and I'm gonna practice what I preach this year. I've been saying it from the jump. I'm looking at sleeper ADP, half PPR, Justin Jefferson going number 4 is what I'm seeing. I'm talking about right after that tier with CMC, Tyreek, and CD is Justin Jefferson. He's gonna be my boom. He's gonna be my bust pick tonight for this first round because I would take Jamar, Amon-Ra. Oh heck, I don't push something else. I would take Jamar, Bijan, Amon-Ra, Brees, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson. There's a lot of players I would take ahead of Justin Jefferson, and I think Justin Jefferson is good, and everybody points to those few games with Nick Mullins and Dobbs and whoever, and I think Justin Jefferson is great. Might be a chance to buy low on him this year, but he is not gonna sustain a great season for you the whole season with these backup quarterbacks with Sam Darnold. I mean, Sam Darnold. Listen, I'm all for giving people chances and stuff, and you never know. Like Sam Darnold might go out there and, you know what I'm saying. This is what they got, and he's gonna do it. He's gonna be the starter for the whole year if he is competent. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
it's like, what's it really gonna be like for Justin Jefferson fantasy football wise? Which leads me to my next point. I'm gonna be picking from the 104 in my most important redraft, Average Joe's. I'm gonna take Amon-Ra St. Brown at the 104 because I believe he's the best. I would take him over Jamar, all the running backs. Amon-Ra's going at 7 right now. I've seen him go 8. I've seen Brees Hall go pretty high. I'm taking him over Jamar. So my first round boom is Amon-Ra. My first round bust, Justin Jefferson. Get them out of my face. Get Justin Jefferson off my board, bro. I might would take Devontae before him. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing.
I figured you were just playing about that, but I do agree that Justin Jefferson might be the worst pick in the first round where he's going. And I have to say it, Justin Jefferson's just incredible. But Sam Darnold is not incredible. He's not incredible at all. He's pretty terrible. And I just want to ask you where you would take Justin Jefferson because so is it after Garrett Wilson, would you take Jahmyr Gibbs? Or is that where you draw the line?
It's tough but I think I would take Jahmyr Gibbs.
What
It's
about
tough, but I think I would.
what about like a guy like Kyron Williams
Nah, man. I don't know.
or Puka? What about Puka Nacua?
No, I think I gotta go Justin. I think I gotta go Jefferson.
So you think he belongs in that like
Puka.
110,
That's the
111?
toughest one. That is the tough. Yeah. I mean, you're sitting at the 112. Justin Jefferson falls to you. You're probably ecstatic. You know what I'm saying?
I probably would be ecstatic.
Yeah.
I agree
I'd
with
be
your.
like,
I agree with the
oh
bus
yeah.
pick. And Yahoo, he's
Yeah.
going even higher. He's going above Amon Ra consistently. And I've seen Amon Ra make it to the 109. How excited would you be if Amon Ra fell that far?
Man, I would be. Boing, 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 boing. I'm taking him at the 104. It's no debate. If somebody wants to reach on him, then I'll have to take one of those top 3 guys, and I wouldn't be upset about it. So
Yep. Well,
that's just where I stand. Go ahead, Kraft, man.
it's on to another guy that I like, man. Another guy I ain't leaving my draft with. And unfortunately, sometimes it's impossible because everybody likes him. But I like him the most. This man's name is Lad McConkey. Let's go. You think I would go?
Oh
You think I
my
would go the whole
god.
episode without mentioning Lad McConkey's name?
Too
Okay,
funny, man. Too
this is
funny.
more. This is more for the guys outside of our leagues that we haven't talked to, because
Yeah.
Lad McConkey is going pretty high in a lot of best balls that I've done and everything like this. Lad
Yeah.
McConkey's going as a wide receiver 40 this season. He's going a good bit behind Xavier Worthy. He's going behind guys like Keon Coleman and Brian Thomas. You know, these big athletic guys, and then you just got this, 6-foot white guy running around, getting open,
Yep.
catching just PPR points galore. And not comparing Lad McConkey to Keenan Allen, but through weeks 1 through 9, Keenan Allen was wide receiver 3 last season. The wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
He's technically replacing Keenan Allen this year. They don't have anybody else. I still like Joshua Palmer as a good sleeper pick. I'm not out on Joshua Palmer at all. QJ, I ain't got nothing for. And DJ Chark, whatever. The Chargers are gonna have to throw the ball. They got Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins back there. And their offensive line can be as built as they want to be, and they can be as high T as they want to get with John Harbaugh over there. Or Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, Jim Harbaugh over there. It don't matter. Somebody's got to catch passes for this offense. You got a prolific passer in Justin Herbert, and his first receiver is going at wide receiver 40. Get the hell out of here with that shit. Lad McConkey is going to finish as a wide receiver 2 for your team. I can promise you that. Just like you said, Romeo Dobbs is going to be in the top 24. Lad McConkey will be in the top 24. There's no way that the Chargers go this whole season and just run the football 80% of the time like people think they're going to do. It's like, oh man, they got this. They got Greg Roman in there. He loves to run the ball. They got Jim Harbaugh. He loves to run the ball. They drafted a tackle with their first pick. They're gonna have to throw the ball. Bottom line.
That shit is so funny, man. Too funny.
Lad McConkey is going to be the main beneficiary of everything that Justin Herbert does. If he prefers Keenan Allen, which I think was at the back end of his career, to be the wide receiver 3 last season, there's no doubt in my mind I'm taking Lad McConkey as a wide receiver 40 going in the 8th round. I mean, that's the easiest pick of all time. The problem that I have is living in Georgia. He's starting to go in like in the 6th, and I can't get him.
Lad McConkey in the 5th. That's what I say. Lad McConkey in the 5th. These Georgia Bulldog fans just crack my ass up. It's so funny that it's so obvious you was gonna say Lad McConkey, but it's like it caught me off guard. Like I just wasn't thinking about it at the time. You come on here and talk about Lad McConkey. Of course. Y'all draft him in the 5th round. Y'all crack me up, man. I mean, I really don't disagree with what you say.
Man. Can't
It
get him
is
down
too
here in the
funny.
South.
Just thinking about how high Lad McConkey's gonna be going, it just cracks me the fuck up. No, you
wide
ain't getting him
receiver
out of
two.
value down here.
Nah, but if you listen to the podcast, like our buddy, our fan out in California, you know, Lad McConkey, bud,
Laugh
you gotta get Lad McConkey, Mick Honky.
That dude is forever our fan. That is fucking so funny. Yeah. That
I
shit
hope
cracks
so,
me the fuck
bud.
up.
Keep sending us messages, man. We'll respond to
Hey,
you.
Crab, any more? Go ahead and throw all your names out there. I'm done. I ain't got no more names.
I only got two more names, and we talked about one guy. I'll keep this short because we talked about him last episode. Jake Ferguson
Yeah.
going as a tight end 10 in like the 7th, 8th round. You might as well just call the 8th round the Ferguson round. If he's there, you're taking Jake Ferguson.
Yeah.
That's what he's there for. I mean, if you see that number 8, you should just go ahead and that's Jake Ferguson, right?
Yeah.
When he's there, you take him. You gonna take other guys like, I mean, I don't even know who's going in the 8th round right now, but some bum ass guys going in the 8th round right now. Jake Ferguson's the best pick you can have at tight end if you miss out on them top tight ends. But I told you I keep it short. But if you're drafting, this is my main guy. This is probably I actually got two guys left. Rasheed Rice, man.
Oh yeah. That was
Drafting this weekend. He's going as a wide receiver 38 right now in sleeper. In the 7th round, Rasheed Rice. I would take him where I said I would take T. Higgins at, like 5th round.
Yeah.
I've said my piece about Xavier Worthy. Rasheed Rice is the wide receiver 1 on the offense, and he outscored and out targeted Travis Kelce in the back half of the year. That's hard to say when Travis Kelce has been the prolific player that he's been throughout his career. To say that you finally got a receiver other than Tyreek Hill, kind of, overshadowing Travis Kelce in his rookie season. Rasheed Rice is a good player. He's going to get a shit ton of targets, and he's going to be Patrick Mahomes' maybe number one target. And this is a quarterback that we talked about could top 5,000 yards. So, Rasheed Rice is just a steal. Hopefully in your leagues, people are still worried about the suspension, and you can get him. Like I said, he's going in the 7th. I'd take him in the 5th.
Yep.
I'd reach up and just get him. I can't believe you didn't put him on there, Matt. You crazy as hell for that one.
That one's too easy. Too easy. I'm with you. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's nothing else to say. I couldn't agree with you more. I would reach way up on ADP for Rasheed Rice right now.
And my last guy, this is more like a, I mean, I could talk about him as a guy that I don't want to leave a draft with, but I've got him about 30% of the best ball drafts I've done. Is Terry McLaurin, the scariest man on the planet. This might be the best quarterback he's ever played with in his whole entire career. He's going as a wide receiver 31. He finished as wide receiver 28 last season, and I had him last year. It was bad. I mean, you think you draft Terry McLaurin as a top, a wide receiver 2, and he doesn't finish as that. But they just got rid of Jahan Dotson. De'Ami Brown is probably their number 2. You got a quarterback who just won the Heisman Trophy last year. I see a lot of similarities between like Michael Pittman and Terry McLaurin with the rushing quarterback, and I just think Jaden Daniels is a better passer than Anthony Richardson. So I think Terry McLaurin has a good case for going up there with guys like Michael Pittman, Devontae Smith, where I think he's getting undervalued because of his age. And you seen what happened when DJ Moore left and went to Chicago, and he finally got Justin Fields wasn't even a great quarterback, but DJ Moore was great last season.
Yeah.
I could see a case where Terry McLaurin finishes as like I wouldn't say a top 10 guy, but definitely could finish between 10 and 15.
Man, I've been targeting Terry McLaurin Dynasty. I just can't get him, man. Can't get him. I'm
He's
with
a good
you.
target.
Yep, I'm with you on Terry McLaurin. Scary Terry. I want him, big dunk. If you hear this, give him to me. For the
And
low.
for the low.
For the low. I
Terry
want a
McLaurin should have a
petite.
good year.
Yep.
Should have a good season.
Well, shoot, Craft Man.
I got some more, Matt. I got some more.
Toss them out there. Just throw them out.
I'm just going to name a couple names that I think are value picks at the end of your draft. I'm not going to get into analytics or statistics or nothing like that. Jerome Ford.
Yep.
Think he's a starter over there. Pierre Strong just got put in an ambulance for an injury in yesterday's practice. So
Dang.
it looks like it's Jerome Ford and Deontay Foreman, which I think Deontay Foreman is actually a decent little last round pick for your draft, because I said I don't really believe in Nick Chubb coming back this year and being super relevant.
Nah.
And another guy, Chuba Hubbard. He's a good pick at the end of your draft. Jonathan Brooks is not going to play for the first 4 or 5 weeks. They're going to ease him in. Chuba was just fine last season. At the back half of the year.
It's that Miles Sanders bounce back.
That Miles Sanders and Ezekiel Elliott. That's my last one. He's going as a RB37. You're talking about a top 5, top 10 offense, and the number 1 running back on that team, even if it's the number 2 running back on that team, is going as a RB37. Say what you want about his talent and just being inefficient. There's a lot of inefficient guys that we like to draft, like Rashad White and Joe Mixon and, Alvin Kamara, guys like this, where we all know that Dallas's running backs are going to produce. We just don't know which one it is.
Right.
So I don't like leaving any of my drafts without Zeke or Rico Dowdle even later.
I'm with
and
you,
that's
man.
that's the guys I got as values at the end of your drafts.
Good stuff, Craft Man. Good stuff. One of our best episodes, no doubt. Booms and busts. Draft time is here. I'm getting ready for my draft. I have not mock drafted enough, Craft Man, but I'm getting ready for it. Craft Man, anything you want to say to the good folks out there?
Y'all got to hit us up on this boom and bust episode, because I know hurt a couple people's feelings with my takes. Especially Chris with Xavier Worthy. God dang, he's gonna be like he is about Drake May about this one.
Oh man, yeah. I like talking boom and bust. Yeah, I'm with you.
I gotta ask you this before we get off though. There's a tier of receivers that are going in like the 7th, 8th round, which people cannot get and I can't get a hold of. And it's kind of like the boom receivers. Please tell me which receiver that you would take right here, because it's very difficult. Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas, and Jameson Williams, and Christian Watson. These are all similar guys where you hadn't really seen it a lot, but they got a lot of potential.
Brian Thomas for me.
Brian Thomas.
Yep.
I think I tend to agree with you on that. So you take Brian Thomas over Christian Watson. You take Brian Thomas over Jameson.
Yep, 100%. You know how I feel about that one.
What about JSN, who I mentioned earlier? You taking JSN?
I've literally stared that down the gun and bus ball a couple times, and I've gone both ways.
You got to stare it down. They're all back to back to back. All them rookies, and then you mix in Jameson and Christian Watson together. They're all together, and it's very difficult to choose from.
I've done both. Literally done both. That's a good question, Craft Man. But yep, Thomas Jr. for me.
I think I agree with that one.
Man, that's some good stuff right there. But yeah, everybody, appreciate for listening to the podcast. Remember, tell a friend, and But thanks for listening to the podcast, and we out.
Peace.